It is Wednesday, and that means we get to hang out with our best friend on the West Coast, Mr. Michael Babcock over at TMZ. How you doing?
Hey, Maddie. Hey, Jeremy. What's going on, guys? How are you?
Doing so good. How's
Doing
LA?
Great.
Great. Everything is great. Yeah, I cannot complain.
Okay, good.
Yes.
We don't want to hear complaints about your perfect weather.
I know.
Right?
I'm sure. I could, but
So you have some topics today, but one I'm very passionate about. So we can get to that maybe second. But
yeah, you want to? Okay, so
let's
we'll
start
do
with
TJ in a
Britney.
second. Okay, yeah, this is a good one too. So it looks like Britney Spears is very much warming on the idea of reconciling with her dad, Jamie. Jamie is 71 years old now. The reality of the situation is 71 years old, and he has significant, serious health problems. So serious that we actually did the story yesterday that about a month ago, he had this really serious infection in his leg. He had 5 procedures. They tried, went to great lengths to try and get this infection out of his leg, could not do it. They ended up having to amputate his leg. So Jamie is, again, he's dealing with these significant health issues, and we had always been told that he would love an opportunity to make things right, to patch up the whatever differences he has with Britney and move past all of that drama. It's just she wasn't ready for it. But now, she spent time recently with her mom in LA. Britney was celebrating her 42nd birthday. So Lynn was there. Her mom was there. She's been talking to her sister. Her brother spent some time with her recently. So she is definitely spending time with family. And I think at the end of the day, she had Sam Asghari in her life, and that was her person. I mean, he was her rock, and he was someone she could rely on. He's gone now, and she really doesn't have anybody. And I think if that's the impetus for her making things right with her family, then great. So we'll see if it happens with their dad, but certainly the making up process has already begun with her mom, brother, and sister.
Michael, I'm curious to know, because I didn't know about this amputation story till yesterday. Saw you on TMZ Live, saw the story, and I was like, did they keep this private and secret? And then on the flip side, I don't buy it when Britney, she trashes them one day and then makes up with them the next day, trashes her family again the next day on Instagram. So I just am like, to me, it's just a fleeting moment of maybe feeling sorrow or sentimental.
No, I think that's a great point. She, in October, her memoir came out, and obviously that was a massive selling book, and there were some really not so flattering things said about her family in there. Now, if you said that to Britney's people or people close to her, what they would say is, hey, look, she just wanted to get her story out there, and oh, by the way, she wrote the book about 7 or so months before it was released. So all of those things that she wrote, would have been done, say, the beginning of this year. So a little bit of time has passed, and maybe her mind, or her way of thinking has changed since then. So that's what they would say. But I'm with you, Jeremy. I mean, it's one second they're she misses them and loves them. The other, they've tried to take advantage of her, and she doesn't like them. So it is sometimes hard to follow. We'll see. And again, she's been spending time with her mom, so that's the only reason I would think that maybe this is serious and this is more than just a sort of a fleeting emotion that she has. But we'll see what happens. Wouldn't be shocked.
Yeah, I got to hop back. Do we know how much of the leg came off? That's where I'm stuck at. Was it below the knee or like above the knee?
That I do not know. Only thing sort of we had been told about it was that he was dealing with this serious infection, 5 procedures, couldn't get the infection out of there. So, but yeah, I'm not sure. I'm sure at some point that's something that will come out. But yeah, I'm not sure, Maddie. Unfortunately,
I just hope they're taking care of her. If they do reconcile, I hope it lasts. I hope they can put the past behind them, and I hope they concentrate on Britney, her mental health as well.
Yes.
Because
I know. I think that's most important. I think that's what I think they look. If the conservatorship lasted too long, and that's a separate issue. But I think the reality is, if Britney didn't go on that conservatorship, 15 years ago now or so, I'm not sure she would be here right now. I think a lot of people accept the fact that her dad saved her life by putting her on that conservatorship. So,
Michael,
say what you
oh
want
my
about
gosh,
it.
You said that yesterday on TMZ Live, and I was cheering for you as you said that, because I agree with you, because you said something similar, like, she may not even be here if it wasn't for her dad at the time to help her.
Right,
like,
that's the truth.
So true.
I wholeheartedly believe that. And yeah, I agree. It did last too long. And I think at a certain point, maybe she wasn't in the greatest of shape. They should have tried to figure out a way to get her off that and start living a productive, life. She's an adult woman, right? She's 42 years old. She's capable of sort of guiding herself through life. So sure, they should have gotten off of it sooner. But I do think her dad saved her life.
Yeah.
Ooh, okay, change of heart here.
Move on to your favorite story.
My favorite story.
I'm sorry.
Amy Robach and TJ Holmes. They
Yeah.
had a podcast come out. I'm in the throes of this, Michael. So, I just said Michael. Who are you? Babcock.
It's really interesting. So we actually put up some pictures this morning of them. They're from a few days ago. They're walking hand in hand in LA. It looks like they're headed towards the Santa Monica Pier, and they look as in love as ever, and as much into each other as they ever were. The podcast, I thought, was fascinating because in that first episode, one of the many topics that they touched on was sort of what it was like when they were both losing their jobs at ABC. Of course, they were the hosts of GMA3. And Amy told this really harrowing story of, as sort of they're losing their jobs, she's having this text conversation with TJ, and TJ is saying these things that are really scaring her, speaking in the past tense, saying, you were the love of my life, and, I'm sorry that this happened. And the way that he was talking, it really caused her concern. I mean, concern that he might have taken his own life. So she says, I happened to be with my parents at the time. My mom says, hey, you've got to go check on him. So she says, hey, I rush over there with my dad. They get into his apartment. And she said, I literally walked up to him and he's on the bed. And I touched his body to feel if he was warm. And you can imagine in that moment, it's someone she loves, just the sheer terror that she must have, and the panic she must have been feeling in that moment. And it turns out he was okay. And he admits, he said, hey, look, I don't really remember that moment, but I just remember that I was drinking a lot and I was taking a lot of these, weed edibles. And you can tell, it's obviously was a big story at the time and something a lot of people were talking about. But I think now you're really getting a sense of how, how much of a toll it took on them as individuals and as a couple.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she did get really choked up during the podcast episode talking about it. And I honestly, when she was leading up to it, I was like, oh my gosh, she might have attempted, but it was just, he was coping with alcohol and marijuana.
Yeah. Do people really?
Yeah, you didn't know because they looked like they held it together on, outwardly at least.
Yeah.
And you didn't know. I mean, if maybe they just kind of brushed it off their shoulders. They're talented people. They'll get other jobs.
Yeah.
But clearly that wasn't the case.
All right, Michael. Sorry, we're out of time, my friend, but we love you so much.
Okay, bye guys.
Okay.
See you next week.
I talked too much today.
All right, don't go anywhere. So much more fun on Ozarks Fox AM coming up right after this. I was like, to me when you said that podcast,